So the first recipe that we're going to be doing today is our tomato and spinach grilled cheese, which is just a classic sandwich, grilled cheese. Every kid loves a grilled cheese sandwich, but then we're going to add some healthy elements to it by putting in some fresh spinach and some slices of tomatoes. So the tomatoes that you want to select for this recipe, you're going to want to go with the slicing variety. So we have here three different kinds from a local farm. And really, I just wanted to show kind of different colors, different varieties. You can go with just your standard red slicing tomato, and that's fine too. But the first step is to combine our cheese with some Italian seasoning. So I'm just going to weigh out equal parts for this. We have some local sharp cheddar. Cabot is they're out of Vermont and they're cooperative, which means that they source their dairy from multiple dairy farms around New England. The milk is picked up from the farm and brought to brought to Cabot, where they then turned into mostly cheese products. So local to New England. We're gonna do 6 ounces. I'm just doing half of the recipe that's included in this training right now. So we're going to do 6 ounces of the dark cheddar and then 6 ounces of the part skim mozzarella shredded cheese. Mozzarella is great grilled cheese because that is what's going to give you that kind of like stringy, like when you take a bite out of your grilled cheese and there's that trail of melted cheese that's so satisfying. And it tastes great as well. So 6 ounces of that. And I'm going to grab a bigger bowl. So we're going to combine the 2 cheeses. And then some Italian seasoning. So 1 tablespoon of this Italian seasoning. So this particular one is marjoram, basil, rosemary, thyme, oregano, savory, and sage. It really smells like an Italian restaurant in here. It's so good. I'm gonna set that aside. And so with tomatoes, especially the juicier varieties, like your slicing ones, I always use a serrated knife. There's no point in risking having a dull chef knife when a serrated knife is really the best tool for handling tomatoes. And so for these, I'm just gonna do big slices because they're gonna lay flat on a sandwich. So I'm gonna aim for like 1/4 of an inch thick. I think that's gonna be ideal. And this is a beautiful variety. It's gonna look very cool on the sandwich. You can see it's green with that really pretty yellow rosy core. So, put that aside. Compost the ends if you have a compost, that's ideal. And then this bright orange one, slicing really well. This one, this is honestly probably too much tomato for the amount of sandwiches I'm going to be making today just for this demo. But like I said, I wanted to show everyone just the variety and how tomatoes can add a lot of color, a lot of flavor to what we're making. So imagine a sandwich with that color. Really beautiful. And I usually don't use the ends for sandwiches because I find that it's very slippery. So I'll just use the cut middle parts. then aside. So we're going to take a baking sheet tray, and if you have butter flavored, that's great, or if not, just use a regular old pan spray. You can also do parchment paper instead, anything so it doesn't stick. I like to use the pan spray because that is going to give the sandwiches a nice crunchy exterior when they're baked in the oven. And then I've got some local bread here. This is from When Pigs Fly. They're a bakery in southern Maine. Any kind of sandwich bread will do, but just trying to showcase as many local ingredients as we can in these trainings. And you're just going to lay down probably going to make 3 sandwiches today. So 6 slices of bread, any leftover bread, seal in an airtight container, can be frozen. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our cheese mixture, and the recipe that we're following today calls for 1 ounce of the blended cheese per sandwich, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball that, but you definitely want to measure out or use a scoop that's designed to be for 1 ounce. So we're going to put some of that cheese on 3 of the pieces of bread here. Alright. Then as I'm looking at these slices of bread, they're definitely on the thinner side, and my tomato slices are pretty massive, so I'm going to cut them in half. That should be fine. Some of these big ones even smaller than halves. So I'm just going to layer on some tomato. It's looking to be about 3. If I want to get all the different colors, I can fit 3 pieces pretty easily on half of the sandwich. And then we've got our spinach. So this is a grilled cheese. Like I said, every kid loves grilled cheese, and we're really packing on the veggies, but in a way that I think is not too intimidating. So, because I think that when you hide vegetables between layers of melted cheese, things are going to be okay. So I'm just going to put down a few leaves on each one. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to sandwich the top. And then imagine you've got a sheet tray. You don't want them to be really crammed and touching each other, but you could fit pretty easily, you know, a dozen or so sandwiches on here. And then you're just going to bake it in that preheated oven at 375. And then after they're like maybe 8-10 minutes in the oven, you're going to take them out. You're going to flip them so both sides get nice and golden brown. After you flip them all, you're going to give it another spritz with the pan spray. Or before you flip them, spritz them with the pan spray, flip them over so you have that grease to help them get that crunchy exterior. And if you think that you want them to be weighted down a little bit more, another trick is you can take a baking sheet and place it on top, and you can even weigh it down with something, and that'll help compress the sandwiches because they tend to kind of, you know, rise up a little bit, and that'll sort of be like a panini press effect, but in the oven. So those are your local tomato, spinach, Italian blend, cheese, grilled cheese sandwiches.